sisters, that each one of you, brothers, sisters, husband, wives, to decide that if not on the first day, Friday, the first day of the new year, but shortly thereafter, maybe the second, maybe the third, but certainly do not wait for too long. Take advantage of the first period of time in the new year to do exactly that. For many years in my old house, I have a small mountain behind me, more like a hill, where I go to do my trail running and stuff like that. And and the top of that little mountain is my small Holy of Holies. And I visit that place quite regularly, not just once a year, quite regularly. But for sure, on the first day of the new year, I would go up there alone just to spend a longer time with the Lord. And it's a tradition, but I would like to say this is not a dead tradition, but a living one, and a very, very blessed one. It's my testimony. So, brothers, you might say, tell your wife, honey, this morning I'm going to be gone for a couple of hours to wherever, just to be with the Lord. So you take care of the kids and whatever. And then maybe later in the day, the wife would say, it's my turn. And you do whatever you need to do, the husband. It's not bad. I think that's a fair arrangement. But I do mean to do something like this in a very serious way. Now, I'd like to give you now 5 or 6 points to help you to spend this time with God, with the Lord, alone. These are not something I just conjure up these few days. These are my experiences, and I like to share some of my secrets and my enjoyment with you. Hopefully it would be a help. And these are 5 or 6 verbs, and all of them start with an R, the alphabet R. The first one is recall. Spend that time starting with a recall. You say, recall what? Okay. To remember, to recall God, and specifically God's love, God's compassion towards you, specifically. This is not about the whole world. God so loved the world. This is about God who so loved me. Be personal with him, immensely personal, and be very intimate with him as you recollect God's love, God's compassions, God's kindness, God's mercies, God's faithfulness. All that are God's so-called attributes, but it is really his very being, his very nature, but not at just some points, or something in the Bible, but something very much that he directed towards you in your life. I find that to remember the Lord in this way, filled my heart instantly with grace, with gratitude, with thanksgiving, and even with praise to the Lord. I mean, this is the first thing we should do at the end of a year. And that's to remember how much He was to us, how He is still drawing us with the cords of a man and the bands of love, according to Hosea. That the love of Christ never ceases to constrain us to live to Him. That regardless of how we have wavered or veered, that His love remains an eternal and everlasting love. I mean, brothers and sisters, I'll tell you, this is the first thing I do when I'm with the Lord, just to recall all that He is, His goodness towards me, without which I am done, without which I won't be breathing, without which I won't be around, and without which surely I won't be saved. I wouldn't have been regenerated. I wouldn't be in the church. I wouldn't be growing in Him, advancing in Him. None of that. He is the source to me. And so spend some time to recall. In the Old Testament, Jehovah always reminded His people of this. Remember. Just remember how I was to you. Now, the second R I want to mention is the, let me see here, is the word rehearse. Rehearse. To also bring to mind in a, I wouldn't say systematic way, but almost point by point, what? The vision that you have seen, and even the commission that you have received from the Lord over the years. And for me, I always have to start with in my last year of high school, after I was already saved, but the Lord came and revived me and called me to Himself and drew me absolutely to His purpose. And that was the first time when the God of glory appeared to me. And since that time, in these last over 50 years, time and again, He had reappeared. He had appeared again and again and again and again. So I cannot say I'm a man of no vision. I have been given abundant visions of Christ, of the church, of so many divine matters, not the least the vision of His will, of His purpose and economy. And that vision, those visions that I saw, resulted in a kind of charge or commission that I received the Lord that I cannot deny. Again and again, the Lord had commissioned me to do something for His interest, to go on in the church life, in His recovery, for His move. In this and in that, He gave me special commissions. And it would be good for me to rehearse that, not just to kind of remember that, but more specifically to rehearse that. This is important because in the busyness of the world, our job, our family, so many things, we can forget. So let us stick our head over the clouds for some time and look into eternity and look far again. Paul says, I'm not disobedient to the heavenly vision. That means what? That means he's always recalling. That vision is always in front of him, always refreshed, always renewed. And that vision drove him, impelled him to continue his service and his ministry for the Lord. And it is good to rehearse that again before him. And number 3, I would like to say is reflect.